So we are back and starting with a banger. In this video, we're gonna take a look at one of Europe's hottest companies right now. Over the past 3 years, this one single company outperformed about everything. Higher returns than silver, of course, but also higher returns than Bitcoin, every single altcoin out there. Yes, even higher returns than Palantir, and yet almost nobody talks about them. We're gonna change that in this very video, so stay tuned, we're jumping right in. Hello and welcome to another video by HKCM Global. My name is Joe and we are in 2026. This is the very first video in 2026 in this channel, and this year we're gonna scale it up. Over the past months we delivered about 1 to 2 videos per week here in this channel, and this year we're gonna scale it up all the way up to 5 to 6 videos a week here on this channel with free value for you. Free analyses, free predictions, all here on this channel as a short courtesy, a little selection, a best of if you will, out of our daily market analysis service where we analyze over 200 assets on a daily basis. As always, link in the description. And now what am I talking about? I am talking about the company Rolls-Royce Holdings. And so if I say Rolls-Royce, obviously most people will think about the luxury car maker. Before your inner eye, you will see the Spirit of Ecstasy in silver on a long hood, and behind that long hood, probably a driver and a very, very wealthy person on the backseat. But that is not what I'm talking about. And actually, the car maker Rolls-Royce has been under the umbrella of BMW for many, many years now. And even way earlier than that, already in 1973, the car manufacturer Rolls-Royce split off of the mother company Rolls-Royce Holdings. And so we are talking now about Rolls-Royce Holdings that for the past 50 years already has nothing to do with the car maker Rolls-Royce. So just for clarification. And so then Rolls-Royce Holdings, what are they doing? Rolls-Royce Holdings is one of the most important suppliers of airplane engines and also of internal combustion engines for heavy duty vehicles. So mostly for ships and naval craft. And over the last 3 years, this company has skyrocketed and outperformed about everything out there. And before I'm gonna go in our count and exact prediction here for Rolls-Royce Holdings, let's maybe just draw a quick comparison. So out of the lows of October 2022, which about coincides with the low in Bitcoin, by the way. So if I'm now pulling Bitcoin also up here on the chart, that is not a faulty comparison, which it would be if I would just pick some random time where Bitcoin, for example, was in a bull market high and then coming into a bear market. But this also for Bitcoin really was a market low. So out of this market low then for Bitcoin, pulling it here on the chart, you can see that Rolls-Royce Holdings vastly outperformed Bitcoin in every measure. So from the very get-go, huge outperformance here by Rolls-Royce Holdings. If I pull in another high flyer, so let's maybe pick Nvidia, also here on the chart, and even though there have been times where Nvidia has outperformed Rolls-Royce, altogether it was a pretty close head-to-head, but right now Rolls-Royce Holdings is up on top. And remember, we're talking about Nvidia, right? So the poster child of mad stock market gains is still outperformed by Rolls-Royce Holdings. But let's then get to the meat of our analysis. I just wanted to give you a little context on how mad of a performance it is that Rolls-Royce Engines has pulled off ever since this low here in the market. So altogether, starting from this low here, we have seen 1,950% performance from bottom to top, which is right now occurring as we speak and as I'm recording this video. And when I look at this chart, me personally, I felt reminded of the chart of Rheinmetall, which looks about similar and of course has experienced a huge boom due to the restructuring in the defense landscape of Europe mostly. However, with Rolls-Royce Engines, it's a bit of a different story. So Rolls-Royce Engines also benefited from the expansion of the defense budget for many European nations. However, military spending only contributes to about a third of Rolls-Royce Holdings revenue, and the main driver for Rolls-Royce revenue is coming from airlines out of the just regular private sector. And so it's a bit more of a coincidence that this huge rally here in Rolls-Royce Holdings occurred as a picture-perfect overlay from the Russia invasion to Ukraine, because that is precisely the very first thing that I noticed looking at this chart. But something that I almost already forgot is that during this time we have been in the height of the COVID lockdown still, and so airlines took quite some time, because travel of course was down during that time, and so airlines took quite a bit of time to pick up on their spending and pick up on their future investments into their fleets. And so this is what coincided here at this bottom here in late 2022 for Rolls-Royce Holdings. What came here together is three things in total. First, the just before mentioned expansion of military budget for many European nations. Secondly, the re-acceleration of travel and therefore of course spending and investment of airlines into their fleet and the future. And then thirdly, Rolls-Royce Holdings also exchanged their CEO during that time. Because if, for example, we look here at a chart of historic revenue for Rolls-Royce Holdings, you might maybe wonder to yourself, well, why at all is there such a wild rally? I mean, right now we are talking about a revenue just even lower than back in 2013. Yet we saw almost a 20x in the stock. I mean, here starting from the lows in revenue or respectively 2022, we only gained about 50% in revenue here, yet a 20x in the stock. And that is because, for example, here in 2016, when Rolls-Royce pulled in 18 billion in revenue, they still managed to lose another 6 billion. So even though they pulled in 16, or was it 18 billion in revenue, they spent 24. And of course, that is a mixture that no investor likes. And so in 2022, they pulled in a new CEO, exchanged their leadership, and went through a successful restructuring in their cost structure, and went through a successful restructuring in their whole enterprise. And what can I tell you? The chart tells the rest of the story. It was absolutely successful. But now here in early 2026, I have to bring you a cautionary tale here when it comes to Rolls-Royce Holdings, because overall, we conclude that we are almost at the cycle top here for Rolls-Royce. So this then serves as a perfect example also on how we analyze, and might be especially interesting for every single one of you who might be considering subscribing to our analysis service, because we had concluded up until a few weeks ago, we had concluded that we have already seen the wave 5 high, respectively the wave 1 top here for Rolls-Royce Holdings back in October of 2025, here at the high of roughly 14 euros and 10 cents. However, price action in this very week here with the break of this all-time high forced us to revisit our account, and therefore we changed our primary scenario here to the secondary scenario. So this is why you see here the sell-off in continuation only with a 30% probability. This here was beforehand our primary scenario. But same as with every single other stock analysis out there, we are talking probability. So even though we can brag about a 70% success rate in many markets, 70% success still means that out of 3 trades, 1 will fail. And that's why it's also important for you to not only have a good prediction, but also have a faultless risk management, which also we provide in our dashboard if you are a paying subscriber. But then back to the story here. So even in this case, even though we had to revisit our main count, we still conclude that up until the now final market top in this cycle here for Rolls-Royce Holdings, we are only talking about roughly another 5%, potentially even 8 to 10% headroom, and then it really should be over for Rolls-Royce here in this cycle. And we are talking about a transition then from this wave 1 high here into the corrective wave 2 move here. And from top to bottom, we are roughly talking about at least 55, potentially even 66% of a sell-off. And of course, in due time, we will bring target zone here on the chart for Rolls-Royce Holdings, because a wave 2 correction, pivot point for my wave 2 correction, is one of the most preferable entry points into a stock, because we know exactly what follows after a wave 2 pivot low in the market, which is a wave 3. And many times, not necessarily every single time, but many times, the wave 3 is then the strongest and most dynamic upwards wave in a chart. And that's what we want to be part of in our portfolio. But up until then, there's still quite a bit of waiting to be done, and so in the short term for Rolls-Royce. Let's take a quick look here to this undercount and dive a little deeper into this wave 5 here in development. So ever since this wave 4 low here, we have so far seen a 1, 2, 3, 4 wave move here in magenta, and are right now in the final wave 5 leg up of the then overreaching wave 5 here in green to conclude this overreaching wave 1 top for Rolls-Royce. So if you are an investor into Rolls-Royce, if I were you, I would lock in my profits. And if you are yet not an investor into Rolls-Royce and look at this chart and think to yourself, sounds like a great investment, you might maybe want to be patient just a little longer and stay tuned for updates here in this channel, which you will not miss, because I hope you subscribe to this channel here, also turned on the bell notifications if you have done so. I'm gladly seeing you in the next video here in this channel. Stay tuned and take care. Bye bye.